Evil genius laugh. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Stephen D. Kelly. This is Stephen D. Kelly Show. We are TruthCat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It is May 1st. It's now 6:01 p.m. Yep. What can I say? So what are we going to call tonight's show? I'm going to call it May 1st. Well, let me see. I had it in my brain here. Hang on. I was so flustered by this damn the Teams thing that I'm on, whatever, Microsoft taking over Skype. Let me see. What was it going to be called again? Oh, yeah. Mayday, Occupythegetty. What was it? Update. Something like that. We'll come up with something. Anyway. All right, guys. This is an important show. I'll just tell you right now, it's an important show. Before I waste any more time screwing around and being glib, I just want to tell you it is an important show because these are important times, and this is a very important mission. And every time I reach out to you and I record messages to you, it's to be taken seriously, not just by you, but by all our listeners. And when I say listeners, I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about the people who are paid to listen. And trust me, they're paid well. Hey, I'm not, okay, sorry, I'm not going to name names. Anyway, all you guys that are getting paid, though, you ought to anonymously chip in and send me, send me some PayPal. It's only fair. It's only right. Yeah. Golden goose, you got to toss the golden goose a bone every once in a while. All right, guys, here's the deal. Our mission, and I know you probably heard this a lot, but it's exploding. Okay, it's what can I say? Something happened this week. Actually, April 21st, it was. A woman came out on, I think it was Twitter, and she said, I'm going to paraphrase, of course, that she had a relative, close relative, who told her, well, this close relative worked in the Bush administration, was high up in intelligence in the Bush administration. And this relative, former Bush administration intelligence person, said to her that there are children under the Getty. Well, this person that came out and said this had nothing to do with our movement. And what's happening and what I'm seeing is that I could get confused sometimes because either this is the same person or there's several people coming out with similar stories, but there's a lot of information being revealed. And one of those things, of course, is the children under the Getty. Very significant. Now, I have noticed personally that there has been a reaction because, this is because the enemies that we have, the enemies that we deal with are reactionary, meaning they can only react to what we do. They have to wait for us to do something before they can form a committee and decide how to respond with an appropriate action, response, a reaction. So that gives us an advantage, of course, obviously. Everything we do, we actually do have an advantage. But the point is, there's lots of battles going on, battles that I'm involved in and battles that I help people with, assist people with, mostly the battles that I assist other people with. I'm seeing that there's been a shift, and I believe the shift is due to the fact that the enemy, which is the same enemy across the board, knows or is learning or is being instructed to adjust due to these changes with our growth and our expansion and our increasing appeal to more and more people. Now, I told someone here just the other day in regards to a legal matter, and I said that we're dealing with criminals. And these criminals, they expect the normies, all of those law-abiding citizens out there, to trust in the system and the law to protect them, to give them justice, and to make sure that their rights and their well-being is looked out for. The reality, of course, is that the enemy is the system, and the enemy is the law, and the enemy makes the law, and the system is corrupt, as much as corrupt as the enemy. What could be more corrupt than what we're dealing with under the Getty? You know, I look at law enforcement, and it all works its way back up to the Getty. I mean, at least here in California with Gavin Newsom, everybody in authority is under Gavin, and of course, Gavin works for Gordon Getty. But either way, let's just say this, is that the indications of our success or our, let's just say, pressure, increased pressure, and forcible change, anxiety that we're causing to our enemy, their reactions, of course, can be positive to us. It can also be negative, such as an attack. So I'm seeing not only successes on the battlefield, but I'm seeing people who are perhaps weak, perhaps susceptible to, well, let's just say interference, who are being attacked. And this attack comes across as a mental, spiritual, psychological manifestation. Something that you can't explain. Something that you certainly are not going to be able to tell the authorities because you need help. Now, I need to remind you of a few things, first of all. This mission, well, for lack of a better word, I'm going to say it's magical in nature. It's spiritual. It's certainly spiritual. It's of God. It's of Jesus. It's for God. We are soldiers for God. We promise our lives to serving Jesus eternally until this is over, with the expectation that perhaps our names will be written on a wall in heaven, and trust me, they will be, which is a pretty special thing. Now, this is not the easiest thing for me to say, and I want to welcome our listener from Iraq. We have a listener from Iraq tonight, I just noticed, and I want to welcome them tonight. Gosh, I was thinking about your country just the other day, and geez, things I'd like to say about the whole theater. But let me get back to what I have to say. And before I say this, just because of our listener, I noticed here, I'm going to be talking about Jesus, and I want you to understand this is no disrespect to everyone else. But, and I say this in all humility, this mission, this Occupy-the-Getty mission, our movement, it has occurred to me that we have these striking similarities, parallels to early Christianity. And I say early Christianity, not what we have now, but what was, the first 100 years or so, 100, 200 years before the church got authoritarian. And there's lots of different ways that I can point this out. I mean, obviously, first of all, we are a very spiritual movement. We are a movement that seeks nothing less than the absolute salvation of humankind, the earth and the universe, all living things, and the removal of the selfish service to self system that has been controlling this reality for some 25 million years, and transition it into the more desirable service to others system. Now, very much like Christianity, early Christianity. If I look at some of the tribulations, I mean, not the least of which was, of course, the crucifixion, but what happened to the followers? It's very similar. I mean, first of all, the people who are tied into this mission, the core people, are a very, well, let's just say, unique, very relatively small group. And I would just like to say that, to me, again, this is also very reminiscent of disciples, the apostles, followers. And at the same time, in another way, the people who are the veterans, the most advanced people of this organization, you people have also, many of you, have come to know great supernatural gifts, powers. You become superhuman on your own, which for a lot of people is very difficult to, well, not just difficult to comprehend, but also difficult to align with normal reality and normal thinking in your life. So it behooves me tonight not just to make these comparisons, of which I'm not done doing, but mainly I need to remind anybody that's been involved in this mission and those that may become involved in this mission in the future that what you're doing, what you're embarking upon, this path is going to leave a mark. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your reality. It's going to cause you to raise your head above the crowd. And Satan will take a swing at the first person that raises their head above the crowd. They're waiting for you to do that. Don't be afraid to do that, but expect that that is going to happen. That's normal. That's normal. Now, all of us in this mission, thankfully, praise God, have begun to learn that we are powerful and that we are untouchable, and that we are able to go about this business without any interference, knowing that we have protection that we can't even understand, powerful protection, not just Jesus, but our angels, our ancestors, our spirit guides, our fellow Jedi. All of us that have pledged ourselves to this eternal mission, we know that this life could be fleeting. At the very most, we're fortunate to understand that we may and we will and we intend to complete this mission during this lifetime, but at the same time, we will learn to understand, hopefully, that there is no such thing as time and that this is retroactive. And that those of us that are fighting now, or going to be fighting now, have always been fighting. That's why those of you who have recently joined or endeavored to join, you've already been at it. So let's go back to let's just say I'll get into the attack stuff first, but I just want to go over some of the more interesting things. Let's just say this, I mean, obviously, I didn't really want to talk about the healing today. I've been trying to avoid it, because, a lot of people have been coming to me and they say, I want to learn Jedi Reiki training. Like they think that's the same thing. Okay, Jedi training. And before I go on, let me just clarify a little bit. Those of you that sign up and become Jedi, you're basically you're promising your soul to fight evil for eternity at the complete convenience of Jesus and his generals, such as Rambo, who you'll meet when you become a Jedi. Point being is that just like joining the army or the military, Once you've joined, you give up everything. You sign away all your constitutional, civic, local, state, county, city rights. You become property of the government. Your soul has always been property of the Creator, but when you sign up to be a Jedi, you're taking a special oath, an eternal oath that you have to be very, very conscious of and knowing all of the ramifications and permanent aspects of this. And you have to realize that the privilege of being a soldier like this and fighting in the astral is an awesome responsibility that you could never pay for, you could never deserve. And of course, all of us endeavor to be able to deserve, those of us that want to do this. But we have to also realize that when we do this, we're always going to come short. We're humans. This is the nature of being humans. We fall short. But as long as we persevere and we focus and we stay on target, we're tenacious. Occupy the Getty till the end. Occupy the Getty all the way. Getty, 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 Getty. As long as we don't stop and we don't stop our forward movement, we don't lose our momentum, we're inevitable. We can't be stopped. And you see, that's the other thing about this movement, Christianity, is that there was nothing on earth that could have stopped what Jesus had started when he came here with his sermons, his parables, and his healing. The impact he made on humanity. Those people that realized that this is temporary, that they could look forward to something much better, and at the same time they could make a difference here on earth to help others also achieve that. Kind of like we're doing. So, much like the early Christians couldn't have been stopped by the Romans, or whoever, Pharisees for that matter, we can't be stopped either. The Romans, in this case, the Templars, the controllers, the Praetorian Guard, the government of the West. Anyway, no, they can't stop us. But they can try to persecute you. Just like they did. They did horrible things to the early Christians. I don't know if any of you have ever studied torture before, have ever studied the history of torture. But, a lot of you, I think you probably think that the Inquisition was horrible. And you think that, Abu Ghraib was horrible. No. You want to know horrible? What they did to the Christians in Rome was the most horrible thing in history on record. The things they did to Christians in early Rome were beyond horrific. You think being fed to lions was bad? What they did before they got fed to the lions was even worse. I don't need to focus on that, but the point is that a lot of you right now, people close to me, people who have traveled thousands of miles to come to me, to be with me, are under attack. Harshly. I don't even know if they can listen to the show tonight because they're probably incarcerated or something of this nature, and hopefully, God willing, they'll get out soon. And I know that if they say anything, that the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to say, you're nuts because you're listening to this Stephen Kelly guy. Just like they probably did to those Christians that said, you're nuts because you believe it and listening to that Jesus guy. You need to be incarcerated. You need to be tortured. You need to renounce this craziness. You need to be medicated, whatever it was they did. It's the same damn thing. So what do? We can pray for those of us that are being attacked, certainly endeavor the best. But it's just like the thing with the early Christians. A lot of them paid a heavy, heavy price before the enemy backed down and gave in. It's going to be the same thing. Only this time, it'll be a little bit different. They're not going to slice open your guts, cut off your tits, feed your children to you, whatever crazy ass thing they want to do, boil you in acid, feed you to the lions, pull out your entrails, whatever, They did some pretty nasty things. But you know what they are going to do? They're going to fuck with you spiritually. They're going to fuck with your mind. A lot of people, they think, I have voices in my head. They think that's nuts. Well, if you don't have voices in your head, turn off the fucking radio and the TV and all that crap and get some quiet so that you can hear. And then maybe you could actually have a conversation with your Lord or your guides or your ancestors or whoever it is, or you could actually ask questions to the universe and the universe will answer. It's great, especially if you're an inventor. You want to know, hey, what's the next step in my invention? What should I be looking at? Oh, why don't you use copper coils? Oh, okay. Little things like that. But the point is that, again, the first thing you've got to remember, you're dealing with the power of Jesus. You're dealing with the power of the Creator. You're dealing with immense power, human power, that was gifted to you for this mission. And because of that, you're under attack. Now, obviously, I went through it all for a long time. Of course, I had the certain protection. I still do. People know better than to attack, I've had to watch. I had to see many people die before I figured out they couldn't kill me. Then they actually told me, hey, you're in a Can't Be Killed club. No kidding. I already knew that. Anyway, the point is, you have to be stronger than this. Don't expect Jesus to do everything. Don't expect Jesus to make it go away. Jesus is there for you. If you are in the astral, if you are in trouble, pray to Jesus. Use the name of Jesus. Protect me, O Lord. Protect me, Lord. Guide me. Forgive me. Have mercy on me. If you're under trauma, you're under stress, you're under attack, have mercy on me. You're not asking for it to stop. You're asking for it to not be so awful. Kind of like our last show, Garden of Gethsemane. Spare me. Do I have to do this? Yes, you have to do this. What happened to all the apostles? They all got crucified. I'm sure not all of them did. Some of them died of old age. I think Thomas died of old age, and several of them did. Obviously, Peter and a few of them were tortured and crucified and everything else. But we should all be so lucky, right? That's the thing. The other thing about this mission that is so similar to Christianity is that ultimately this mission is nothing but truth. Our only agenda, other than saving the victims of Satanism, of course, which should be natural mission for anyone working for the Creator, is truth. Because truth, information, knowing the truth, is our most powerful weapon. It's the light of truth that burns away all the evil that we will use as our tool to destroy 25 million years of evil. It's so simple, kind of like Christianity. What would Jesus do? You want to know what to do? You ask me about the mission and what to do. What would Jesus do? I think about that all the time, especially when I'm doing healing. Okay, I'm just going to talk about the little doggy I was working on yesterday. I hope you don't mind. I'm sure it's okay. The owner knows, but I got a call message to Doggy, little Yorkie Doggy, was having some eyesight issues. Eyes had clouded up. It wasn't seeing. It was having some problems. And I did a little healing on the dog. Obviously, the dog doesn't give me permission, but I had a nice picture of the dog. And I think, what would Jesus do? Well, Jesus would probably spit on the ground, make some mud, and slap some of that mud in your eye and rub it around a little bit. That's what Jesus would do. That's how Jesus would heal you. And that's what I would do too. The first time I did a healing, or not a healing, but a blindness thing. I mean, that's not, this is definitely a big league when you can help somebody with blindness. But yes, I did. I was able to help somebody with blindness, a human, and as far as I know, they still have their sight. But the little doggy, I did the same thing. Of course, I do it in the astral, and I did. I rubbed its eyes. I just, hold it. I always comfort it. I hold the doggy and I hold the animal, I caress it, give it some love, and then I sort of focus on the thing, in this case, the eyes. So I just sort of rub his eyes. Anyway, I got a message the next day, and he said dog's eyes were cleared up. They could see, and it was a lot better, and thank you very much. And I thought, wow, cool. Well, and then I go post a picture of the dog in the group, and I said, I worked on this dog yesterday because it was blind, and today it's better and it can see. And I wasn't trying to brag. I mean, I try to, just my nature, I try to share everything, but at the same time, I had to ask myself, is this a good idea? Should I not do this? But I had to share it with a group. Today I get a message from the dog's owner, Stephen. Its eyes have gone dark again, and it can't see, and it's having trouble again. I'm like, oh crap. So I right away, first of all, I apologize. I tried, I did my treatment again. I did my thing again. But that was a lesson right there. Humility. Keep your mouth shut. What would Jesus do? Would Jesus go around and tell everybody, hey, I healed Lazarus. Did you see me heal Lazarus? Did you see me heal that blind guy over there? Yeah, that's blind guy number 10. Anyone else? No, Jesus would not do that. Jesus would wait for someone to ask, would take care of it, and move on and back to the mission. Would not gloat or brag or publicize or anything of this mission nature whatsoever. Now, I have to tell you, years ago, when I started doing I've been doing healing for a long time, but it was during, of course, Facebook years, during the QAnon Facebook years, when I was kind of at a real low point in my life. I mean, I was just, Christmas time was always really harsh on me because of my family not being around, but I decided that I would give a gift to everyone. And in my misery, I would share, rather than share my misery, I would share my gifts. And I offered my healing, and I did my healing on like 400 people lined up for healing that day. And out of that healing, we had all kinds of miracles, including the woman who can see now. I could go on and on, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. But what is the point? The point is I thought, first of all, of course, it was a gift. It was a gift from me to the world, to the people, because I felt bad, and I thought that if I gave, I would feel better, which of course I did. It was great. Wonderful experience. But I also thought this could help the mission. If more people heard these stories, if people that had actually received this healing gave testimony and recorded their results and basically, wrote affidavits, whatever, testified about what happened, that more people that thought that this crazy mission might pay attention and say, hey, this is kind of interesting. Did you see that? What the heck? Is this real? And they'd be, more inclined to believe some of the crazy stuff I talk about, like 100,000 children under the Getty. And anyway, I think that probably did work to a certain degree. But at the same time, we started being called a cult, because obviously this missions is centered around me and my message and everything else, and I'm doing the healing and all that stuff. So obviously that is difficult. I'm not saying difficult as in hard to do, but difficult as in distasteful. For someone who's trying to be humble and all that. The last thing I need is to be treated like some sort of person that's trying to emulate. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to emulate Jesus, but try to make that suggestion. That I mean, you know how humans are. And again, I'll remind everybody that when Jesus was here doing healing and all that stuff, he told people, he said, "Go out and do what I have done. Do what I'm doing. Go out and heal, because pretty soon I'm going to be gone. And that'll be your opportunity to go out and do the same thing, even better." So I consider what I'm doing the same thing. And if I can do it better because I got the internet and I've, had a few more years on earth to practice my technique, whatever. Obviously, no one can ever be as good as Jesus was at doing this stuff. But the point is, that's a similarity. And I'm not going to apologize for that because yes, this is one of the gifts. And obviously it's about as service to others as you can get, but at the same time, it's a perfect example of the type of example that you want to give other people, to bring them into our fold, to show them that our mission is righteous and that the spiritual gifts that we attain by being part of this mission are real. By the same token, wherever you are, if you're getting attacked, and those attacks are non-physical, and you're not sure how to deal with it, you feel alone and there's no one you can talk to, except for myself, of course. First of all, I'm going to tell you, talk to me. Talk to me. When I was going through this years and years and years ago, waking up and having to deal with aliens and everything else, there was nobody I could talk to. Not a priest, not a counselor, not my wife, not my father. He was dead. My mother, obviously. Dad, what's he going to tell me? He went through his whole life and never told us about his CIA work. Anyway, point being is that you're not alone. You've got the group. We're here for you. And I tell a lot of people, I try to tell some of the people have reached out to me, I've said, look, the stuff that we do, the stuff we talk about, the stuff you're learning, it's not a good idea to talk about it outside of the group. Obviously, you need to evangelize and you need to bring people in, but you need to be smart. And if you're experiencing the supernatural, the astral, the attacks, demonic, human, or otherwise, you, first of all, need to be stronger. And you need to recognize that if you weren't an important part of this mission and you weren't sticking your head up above the crowd, becoming more powerful, they wouldn't be attacking you. And when I was getting attacked in the early days, I said to myself, it says, you know what? I must be doing something right. Let me think. What was I doing when this happened? Oh, okay, let's do that some more. Let's see what they do. They want to attack me? They attack me because they don't like something I'm doing? Let's do it a lot more. It seems to be something they don't like. That's what we want to be doing, what they don't like. We need to find their soft spot. We need to get under their skin. We need to creep into their sanctuaries, kind of like what we plan to do when we occupy the Getty. There will be no secrets, just the truth. The Jedi do it every night. Go in there and battle these fuckers. I don't want to say it's getting old, obviously I've been doing it a long time, but when I see the activity going on like it's going on right now, I know it's right around the corner. It's getting close. I can smell it. I can taste it. I know it's just almost there. The more they fuck with my people, the more my people are able to fuck with them. The more I know that we're in a real battle, a battle that we're winning, a battle that they have to use their strongest weapons against us. And when I say strong weapons, I'm not talking about guns and bombs. I'm talking about super soldiers, Sith, Nazi psychics, Vril. Yeah, all that stuff. There was a guy, and I'm just going to tell this story here real quick because I think it's important. It's not related to anybody that I'm talking about tonight, but I'm going to tell this story anyway for your reference, so you'll understand what we're talking about. Now, this guy was close to me, and he was in Australia. I don't think he's listening. Anyway, I've been doing a lot of healing on him. I've been doing all kinds of stuff. We had, he was part of the group, everything else. And I don't remember what it was, what happened, but for whatever reason, I did something similar to what I would call a Jedi Master initiation on him. I'd been screwing around with that stuff. I mean, obviously, Reiki, it's very powerful stuff. You're supposed to be very careful with it. But every once in a while, someone would come to me and say, "Hey, I need this strength. Give me some strength. I got to go do this or that." And I would say, "Okay, sure. I guess for tomorrow, I'll give you some little master initiation, and then when you go out into battle tomorrow, you'll conquer them, and they won't know what hit them." I've done that before, but I did it to this guy, and he went and ran amok. Okay. Now, this was before I started recruiting Jedi. And if you've been recruited as a Jedi, you'll know that I warn you and I tell you, don't do this, don't do that. Control yourself. With great power comes great responsibility. Anyway, this guy, he didn't get that warning. I don't know what it was he did, but he had a humble life. He had a small home, and his lifestyle was, kind of compromised and stuff like that. And as soon as he got his initiation, suddenly out of the woodwork, the NSA showed up. And I'm kind of cutting to the chase here, but long story short, they basically promised him everything. They promised him a new house. They promised him all kinds of money. They promised to relocate him to a nicer part of the country. All this stuff. Now, the NSA, of course, is very, very big in Australia. They run, what is it? I'm talking about Alice Springs, whatever, the big thing down there. Anyway, the biggest of all the NSA bases in the world, the one that's 6 miles deep, the one that controls all the communications for the entire globe. All of them, even the alien communications. Yeah, that place. Anyway, for whatever reason, I assume it has something to do with that place. These NSA guys, they just run amok. Well, long story short, what happened was, cut to the chase. Try not to repeat that thing, but he ended up in their custody. And they obviously, they never gave him his house. They never gave him all this stuff. But before this was over, he was seeing code. Okay, kind of like the Matrix. When you look and you look out, you see in the Matrix movie, they show the green code kind of flowing through the air. This guy was seeing code. Now, if any of you have had a waking experience, I know people who have gone through this, and I'm not saying it's a drug-induced thing, but it's a spiritual thing. Definitely, you reach a point to where you can actually see the code for the reality that you're observing. And this guy started doing that. He came back to me. He's like, oh my God, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of things. One was his greed was what fucked him up. As soon as they start, he wanted better. He wanted to profit. He wanted to take that skill, that power, whatever it was that he got, and he wanted to cash in on it. He wanted to give it away. He was ready to hand it over, whatever he could, to the NSA, be their guinea pig so they could figure out what he could do while he was spewing this craziness. I mean, my God, it was like open the lid and he couldn't close it. Anyway, Pandora's box. Anyway, he crashed. Okay. Eventually it stopped. He came back to me. He told me what happened. He never really apologized. I don't know what he did, but obviously I couldn't deal with the guy anymore. That was it. I mean, hey, he betrayed me to the NSA as soon as I made him a fucking Jedi practically. It was before I even did that. And so I knew that this is what happens. But the lesson here, for those of you that are dabbling in this stuff, is that, is that you're dealing with the magic, you're dealing with the supernatural, you're dealing with the unexplainable, the incomprehensible, you're dealing with stuff way above your pay grade. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying it comes with a territory. And you don't need to understand it. You just need to go with the flow. You are in a little boat in a very strong river. And you got to stop screwing with those oars. And you got to let it take you where it goes. And you have to realize that this is like a roller coaster. This is what I try to tell people. I have to remind myself of this all the time. Because on this ride, this path that we're on, you're going to have massive ups and massive downs. And the farther you go on this path, those ups are going to get bigger and the downs are going to get lower. The heights of your joy will reach new levels, and the pits of your frustration and your desperation and lack of faith will also be there. You want to kill yourself. You can't take it. You don't want to deal with this crap anymore. You don't have a choice. You're going to stick with it. There is no off-ramp. You're a Jedi now. There is no off-ramp. This is forever. You'll go when you go. Your time, your mission, your life should be dedicated to this cause. Obviously, you have to eat and take care of your family and all that stuff, but you should be an example, at the very least, for the rest of your life. And if the enemy chooses you as a target, chooses you because they think maybe you're weak, they think that you're easy pickings, or they think that you're going to do something significant in the future and that you've already done something significant, they want revenge against you, they want to attack you, they want to make you pay for how much you hurt them, or how much you're going to hurt them, or they're going to do anything they can to try to use you to hurt me or hurt the mission. Say, look at these poor people who have fallen under the spell of this, whatever you want to call me, and have gone off the deep end. No. That's not the case. All we're trying to do is spread the truth. It's just like any religion. It's like truth. It's the ultimate. You know, take the Eastern religions. What is enlightenment? Enlightenment is the truth. It's knowledge. It's knowing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. We are showing you the good, the healing, the power of our God, the power of the Creator, the power of the mission, the power of service to others. We are showing that. That is certainly the good. Having appreciation for everything in all creation, that is the good. Being able to forgive. Extremely important part of everything, because if you want to be forgiven for what you've done, you need to be able to forgive, because we're all fuck-ups. I'm a fuck-up. I am certainly no Jesus. I have vanity and lust and all that stuff. 7 deadly sins. Maybe not all of them, but I don't think I have, what is that? Gluttony? No, pretty sure I don't have that. But anyway, point is that those of you that think you're unworthy, think you're all that, my God, that's being human. All right? But at the same time, remember, as a human, you can do magic. You live in a world of the astral and the spiritual, and you're surrounded by this stuff, and you have spirits, and you could call them ghosts, whatever you call them, demons, angels, whatever. They're all around you all the time. We swim in it. It's thick with it. That's part of our mission. Our mission, of course, is to free the children, expose the truth, but it's also to bridge the gap between this level and the levels above us. Because, as humans on the 3D, third density, for some reason, for the last who knows how long, as humans, we have no knowledge whatsoever of the different levels of density, the mechanics of the universe, which, of course, is something imperative to our ability to understand what's happening and to use it, manipulate it, and control it, and put it to work. But, if you want to get back to religion, you want to get back to Christianity, early Christianity, Gnosticism is early Christianity. It's a major part of it. Several of the apostles are Gnostic. They started Gnostic churches. And what is Gnosis? Gnosis is knowledge. Knowledge. You don't get salvation by doing good deeds. Well, service to others, that's certainly how good deeds are. That's how you get power. But the real power is knowing, having gnosis, knowledge. That's how we succeed. That's how we save everybody, with no knowledge. That's what the mission's all about. Forcing the knowledge onto everybody, so there's no place for Satan to hide. It's really simple. So yeah, just like the Eastern religions, we give you enlightenment. Just like the Gnostics, we give you knowledge. For the Christians, we teach forgiveness, salvation, all kinds of stuff like that. So I don't want to drag on because we're almost done, but for those of you that are being attacked, don't let it get you. Control your emotions, control the information, control what you say. Know that you have Jesus with you at all times, and that whatever it is that you're going through is part of the mission. It comes with the territory. And I apologize if this is something you're not ready for, but I think you are. And the rest of you, if good things are happening and you can see great things happening, remember, roller coaster, keep flat. Don't get too high and don't get too low. Keep it in the middle. Straight. Because it's a long road in front of us. And even though things are going to change and increase in speed and intensity exponentially at the same time, We're not at the finish line. We're at the finish line, but you haven't crossed it yet. So stick to it. Be strong and understand that the slings and arrows and crap that's being tossed at you is only because we're winning. Okay? So stick with it. All right? If you haven't, you want to learn more, join the group in Telegram, Occupythegetty / Stephen D. Kelly. You got to join the group. And when you say, I want to learn about Reiki and Jedi and stuff, it's two different things. Okay, people? Come on. Healing is a gift. Learning Reiki is not going to give you that gift. It'll teach you the mechanics, but at the same time, the gift comes from God, and you need to pray, and you need to earn it, just like being a Jedi. You got to say, please let me be a warrior. Thank you for letting me be a warrior. All right? You need to be thankful for everything. And say, please. And assume that it's going to happen. And you need to try to be worthy. All right? All right, everybody. I'm going to get out of here. If you want to help out financially, of course, the PayPal is stephenkelly714@yahoo.com. And thank you to anybody that does send. And Marty Zoe Chocolates, he sent me $150. Thanks, dude. Sorry, I don't normally do that, but I want to say thanks. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. And again, technical difficulties aside, things are getting rough, and hopefully, let's see, we're recording. Yeah, okay, so far so good, right? No screw ups. I hope this message helped you tonight, those of you that are under attack, and I hope it gives you all inspiration, and I hope you all are feeling proud. And at the same time, I hope you can temper all of those emotions for the finish line. All right? Work harder. Don't wait for me to die. Okay? Because obviously it's like when Jesus was gone, what happened? Lots of corruption took over. Everything got official, all right? The Romans said, you can't beat them, take them over. That's what happened with Constantine. Anyway, we're not going to do that. Okay? There will be no Romans when we're done. Okay? And no Pharisees. They'll just be humans. All right, everybody. Once again, my name is Stephen D. Kelly, and this is the Stephen D. Kelly Show. And we are Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It's always a big deal for me to be here with you, and I'll tell you, when I'm thinking that something's going to happen to keep me from broadcasting, oh boy, do I stress out. Anyway, thankfully everything worked out. Okay, I want to remind you all once again, I love you all. I look forward to seeing you next week. I look forward to seeing the group, and I'll do my best to keep up with all of your requests for healing and everything, and send me emails to law17gun@aol.com. Okay? Good night. God bless. Adios. And goodbye.